What's good? It's your boy, Mixtape Moth, and today I'm going to do a review of the new Boldy James record entitled The Versace Tape. Let's get to it. Of course, most of you know that Boldy James is now officially signed to Griselda Records. This new project marks his first release from the label, and I gotta admit that I expected a little more from it than what we actually got. Considering the hype surrounding his signing as well as Boldy's recent guest verses on Griselda projects, which have all been fire, I guess my expectations going into this were pretty high. And don't get me wrong, Boldy does come through with some strong verses on this tape, that's for sure. It's just that the production from Jay Versace, who produced all 9 of these tracks, was a bit dull at times. For some perspective, I was actually a fan of the instrumental Jay Versace produced for Westside Gunn's Pray for Paris, and I was hoping for more of those bright and powerful soul samples on this Boldy tape. But some of these beats, or should I say drumless loops, were just so-so. While I think this minimalist style of production with muted drums has its moments and can work quite well at times, especially when used for interludes, it can also get pretty monotonous, especially when stretched out over 20 minutes of actual runtime. You know, no matter how engaging Boldy is as a lyricist, it just felt like something was missing with this style of production. Is that to say that these beats were trash? No, but they were underdeveloped, although there were a few that actually stood out. But with that being said, let me go ahead and give y'all a track-by-track breakdown. The intro skit, Pony Down, has Westside Gunn's style all over it, but in this case, it does relate to Boldy because in the skit, they describe the suspect as being bold and nonchalant, 2 adjectives which I think accurately describe who Boldy is as an artist. The first actual song, Maria, has this subdued, jazzy loop. It's smooth, but very low energy for an intro. This kind of reminds me of a poor man's version of the kind of production that The Alchemist had on Yacht Rock 2. It's not bad, but nothing that got me hooked or super excited. It was just kind of there. The following track, New Wave, has more of an upbeat, soulful loop that sounds a bit lo-fi. It's just one short verse. The lyrics were solid, but I can't help but feel that Boldy has given us 2 intro tracks back to back. This one was cool, but I wasn't blown away by it. Cartier was the first song that actually grabbed my attention. I thought the minimal piano sample was smooth. Plus, I liked the record crackling sound effect throughout. It gave things a vintage feel. And you could tell Boldy was feeling this beat as well because his verse was fire. He states, "From pitch and bass, I'm the one these dudes imitate. Can teach a class on how to beat the glass. Let me demonstrate. Just had a blowout sale. It's time to liquidate. The coke numb on my tongue. I got expensive taste. The G5 come with a 5th wheel like a Limitate. It's concrete till they free all my guys behind them prison gates." We also got an El Camino verse as well as some crooning at the end of the track. I noticed he was experimenting with a different singing style here, and I thought it sounded dope. Next up on Brick Van Exel, Boldy likens his pot whipping skills to the ball playing skills of NBA player Nick Van Exel. The song title itself sounds very Griselda. Boldy does some storytelling as well as sprinkling in some street wisdom like plug bless you, then you throw away the phone after he texts you. Can't stress to you enough. Can't fuck up if I connect you. In Detroit, the streets is multiple choice. They gonna test you. This sample was decent. It's kind of smooth yet not very polished at the same time, almost intentionally lo-fi. It wasn't a bad track at all. Plus I liked how we actually got 2 Boldy verses instead of just one. These days, 2 verses on these particular 20-minute projects is kind of a big deal. Then we have Long Live Julio, which opens by Boldy giving a rest in peace shout out to Eric Wright. Of course, that being the late great Eazy-E. The beat, however, didn't sound like anything Eazy-E would have rapped over, but I do like this loop. It kind of reminded me of something that would have played in the background of the movie Godfather when the Mafia went to Cuba. You know, picture Hyman Roth in a loft. Y'all know the vibes I'm talking about? This particular beat doesn't sound very Eazy-E inspired, but I think he tried to capture his cadence here. It's only one verse, but the storytelling and wordplay were stellar. He says, 80 in my secret garden, I tucked the berry white. Look like a tomato in my cup mixed with cherry Sprite. Something like Fredo in the cut. That's a scary sight. Had that man afraid to look up. These dudes scared of heights. Lord, if I go to hell, can I still wear my ice? So Long Live Julio was solid. The track Monte Cristo contains another international sounding sample. It just fits with the foreign luxury rap vibe that we would have heard on something like Pray for Paris. I will say this sample is unique sounding and also pretty bizarre, so I give Jay Versace his props for finding this obscure loop. This contains another short verse where Boldy is spitting some over-the-stove criminology raps that would make Raekwon proud. But yeah, this sample definitely captured an aesthetic that you would typically find on a West Side Gun album. Cardinal Sin has this haunting yet semi-nauseating sample. It's slowed down and kind of fuzzy sounding, but the track overall was too short to really leave an impression. Bentayga has more of a lighthearted 80s R&B sample. Boldy paints a picture of his criminal lifestyle like a Scorsese flick. The imagery was pretty vivid, plus his wordplay was exceptional. I like this one, even though it's just one verse, but the production stood out a little more to me. This project closes out with Roxy Cotton. It's the longest song on the tape and somewhat of a posse cut in that you were getting West Side Gun, Keisha Plum, and Tiana Denise all appearing together. It's actually a really dope sample, but it also kind of feels like a leftover from Fly God is an Awesome God 2. I still like it though. Overall, I give this project a rating of 3.5 out of 5. While it's great to see Boldy on a label that complements his style so well, I can't say that this release was on the same level of The Price of Tea in China or My First Chemistry Set by any means. I feel like this was Boldy merely testing the waters on the new label. It kind of comes across as something thrown together pretty quickly just to keep the fans engaged. I do think Jay Versace has some potential as a producer. He seems to have a good ear for crate digging, as there were some very unorthodox samples that he provided. It's pretty evident that he was also likely influenced by the likes of Madlib, Rock Marciano, and Alchemist, but he still has a little ways to go because at the moment, some of these beats are missing something. Could it be drums? Nah, I'm being too cynical. Well, I'm kind of not. I'm not gonna lie, I want that boom bap sometimes, something that's really crunchy and hits hard. Even though I enjoyed some moments here and there, especially Boldy's verses, this project suffered from underdeveloped production and a lack of song structure. Sure, I'm well aware this was probably all intentionally done, but that doesn't mean that it was sonically pleasing on the ears at all times either. At the end of the day, West Side Gun's influence was stamped all over this thing like a brick, which can be good or bad, depending on what you were looking for with this project. If you wanted a continuation of the Fly God is an Awesome God 2 sound, then you won't be disappointed. But if you wanted something on the level of Pray for Paris or The Price of Tea in China, then you will likely feel a little underwhelmed. My favorite tracks include Cartier, Brick Van Exel, Long Live Julio, Bentayga, and Roxy Cotton. Let me know what you thought of this project in the comment section below. What should I check out next? It's your boy, Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but be sure to hit that like button and please subscribe. As always, it's peace and blessings. Boldy James, the Versace tape, 1.